Okay. All right, everyone, we are live. Welcome, everyone. Good evening to everyone who is tuning in today for this live reading of Cion Papi Part 1, because tonight we only have 10 writers sharing their narratives about their fathers. My name is Angie Abreu. I'm the founder of Dominican Writers Association. We are a 501c3 literary nonprofit whose mission is to publish as many Dominican writers as possible. And I am so proud of this little chapbook. It is our, I believe, our fourth one or our third chapbook of 2022 of the Cuenticos series. This chapbook was sponsored by, and I want to give these people a shout out, Humanities New York and Comunitas America, who provided us with grants so that we could cover the expenses associated with covering this chapbook. So we want to say thank you to our grant funders. And we especially want to say thank you to our managing editor, Jeraldine Perez, who Cuenticos is her baby. So Jeraldine, do you want to tell us a little bit more about why Cuenticos exists and what has it become within the last year?
Hi everyone. I'm Chamberlain. You guys already know me. I'm the one sending like a million emails. Yes. Okay, let's talk about Cuenticos. This is my baby. Cion Papi is my chunkiest baby yet. I'm very proud of it. So thank you guys, all of you who sent the essays. I know the topic of dad is like super, super complex to discuss. But I'm happy that we're all here. I'm happy that Cuenticos exists because a year ago, I couldn't have imagined this all coming together. I just wanted to volunteer. I wanted to read stories that I could relate to. I wanted to find my people. And so thanks to Angie, she just like practically adopted me and dragged me in here. Like, you have an idea? Okay, just make it happen. If you know Angie, she just rolls with it. She goes, you want to find this? Make it happen. So that's how it started. And I don't know, a lot of us just have so many stories to tell. And even when you do have a story to tell, some of us aren't writers. I'm a writer, but some people out there are not writers, but they have a story to tell. And so we've been publishing, I think we have already 56 Cuenticos contributors. And some of them have never been published. Some of them, have a whole portfolio, but we just like mix it all in and we just created this community and putting out there all these topics that we just want to get off our chest. So yeah, that's our little Cuenticos journey. And now we're going on to four chapbooks already. So we're finishing the year off strong. And so yeah, thank you guys for being a part of this, and thank you for taking your time tonight to talk about your stories. Like I said, the father ones were especially difficult. I don't know why. I mean, some of them were like about death, and some of them were about coming to terms with your father not being there and still having this love that you want to give to them, and they were about forgiveness. There's so many topics, so many things that you guys covered. So yeah, that's my little spiel. So yeah, I'm very proud of this project and I'm very proud of this chapbook. So yeah, that's that. I want to go ahead and should I introduce the writers now, Angie?
Go ahead.
We're missing 2, but I'm gonna just read all 10 bios, and whoever's not here, you could just jump in afterwards. After the bios, then we'll go in alphabetical order, and you guys can read from your stories. I don't have my little chunky chapbook here with me, but I practically have them all memorized because I've read them all like 100 times. So yeah. So let me introduce you, and don't laugh too much about my, I have to practice my Spanish more. Sorry. Okay, so we're gonna start with Aretsa Paredes. Aretsa is a Dominican writer born in Santo Domingo and currently living in London. She studied social communications and public relations at the Universidad Autónoma de Santo Domingo. Aretsa worked as a journalist and radio host. She moved to Spain in 2019 to pursue a master's degree in management of corporate communications and digital marketing. She enjoys writing poetry and is starting to explore the world of nonfiction. Okay. Carisa, how do you pronounce your last name? I've been trying to practice.
Musialik or Musialik.
Musialik. Okay, Carisa Musialik. Nació y se crió en Valverde Mao, República Dominicana. Carisa es docente de secundaria y le encanta editar. Ha editado libros para niños, antologías, poemarios y prosa. En su tiempo libre escribe cuentos y poesía, géneros que utiliza para explorar el efecto de la nostalgia en la memoria y su impacto en la persona. Carisa ha publicado cuentos y poemas para Spanglish Voices, la Galería Magazine y para la revista Palabritas de Harvard University. Okay. Cenia Santana Polanco is a bright, joyous soul who loves her culture. She has worked as a scientist, educator, artist, and DJ. Cenia is currently exploring writing poetry. She believes stories are a vessel connecting us because everything has been felt before. Emmanuel Peralta was born and raised in New Jersey. When he isn't reading a new book, he's most likely shopping for more. He is the author of Mi Padre, Su Bendición y Enseñanzas. Jeniffer Tejada is a single mother passionate about cooking, writing, and criminal justice. She is currently pursuing her BA in law from University of Arizona. Jeniffer is an avid warrior for justice reform, building community amongst people of color, all while living in Brooklyn, New York, and raising her superhero son. Jeraldine Perez was born in un barrio de Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. Her mom named her Geraldine, her papi added Perez. Geraldine's writing is a channel to voice what is deemed improper, too deep, too precious, childish, or intimate. She embraces and celebrates the mundane. Her passion for the written word is equivalent to the love she holds for her family, her skin, and roots. She loves learning new languages, reading, dancing, community, and activism. La Puchi is a proud Afro-Latina and a native of the Bronx, born and raised on Hip Hop Boulevard, Dominicana hasta la tambora. She is a 43-year-old retired elementary school teacher. Cion Papi is dedicated to her father, Jose Antonio Espinal Taveras, who died of colon cancer. Lisa Ruby G. Ventura is a Washington Heights-bred Black Dominican poet and creative nonfiction writer. She is a first-generation daughter of immigrants, a wife, a mother, and a mother of 2 enchanting boys. Her work has been published by Dominican Writers, Raising Mothers, La Libreta, and Inkwell Black Press. Lisa has also served as an empowerment panelist for the New York City Council. She is a Voices of Our Nation's Arts Foundation, VONA 2022 alumni. Miguel Rodriguez is a Dominican-American husband and father of 3 girls. He has a Master of Science and is the inaugural Director of Community Standards and Student Advocacy at Damon University in Amherst, New York. Miguel utilizes language, literature, and media as tools to make strides in fostering self-exploration, self-awareness, self-fulfillment, and purpose. He self-published The Worlds of Us and is enthused to be a contributor and ally of the Dominican Writers Association. Pamela Rodriguez is a Dominican-born writer. She leads a life of love and kindness, striving to reach at least one person daily through her daily Cafecito con Pam posts on Instagram. When not consumed with work, she spends time with family, traveling, or writing in her collection of notebooks. Pamela is working on her first collection of essays and poems, where she reminds readers to aceptar el proceso de dejar ir, la idea de lo que crees querer. Okay, that's everybody. So welcome. Welcome. I'm loving this. I love putting the faces and the names together. I see you guys on Instagram, but this is the first time I'm matching you all up. Okay. So we're gonna jump in and start reading. The first reader is Aretsa Paredes.
Yeah, thank you. It's in Spanish, by the way. Cion Papi, una frase que dejé de decir hace tantos años que ahora la siento antinatural en mi boca. Me escuece la lengua y me hierve el pecho solo de intentarlo. No solo no me sale pronunciarla, es que ni siquiera logro completarla en mi cabeza. Pero sí recuerdo la última vez que lo dije, o mejor dicho, la última vez que me lo pidieron, y yo respondí con un rotundo, no, yo no tengo papá. Debía tener unos 6 o 7 años cuando lo vi llegar esa vez, que no sé si fue la última, pero no logro recordar ninguna otra. Yo estaba jugando en la acera con mis amiguitas, quizás brincando soga o jugando a las muñecas en el frente de la vecina, cuando escuché a mi mamá llamarme. Yo era una niña obediente y siempre iba tan pronto me llamaban, porque así aseguraba que me dejaran volver a jugar al día siguiente o por 15 minutos más en el mismo momento. Nairobi, me vocea mi mamá con su voz aguda. Dígame, respondo, esperando que fuera una de esas llamadas de chequeo rutinario, solo para saber dónde estaba. ¿Ven que te estoy llamando? Cuando llego a donde mi mamá, la oigo decir, ahí está tu papá, ven a saludarlo y a besarle la mano. Recuerdo la cara de él, con una sonrisa labial que no dejaba ver los dientes, pero que reflejaba una tranquilidad en el rostro, esa que solo una cabeza despreocupada como la suya podía tener. Lo miré de arriba abajo y dije, yo no voy a besarle la mano, él no es mi papá, yo no tengo papá. La frase salió de mí y sentí que resonó en toda la ciudad e hizo temblar la isla entera. Estaba llena de rabia, pero también de dolor, y aunque quizás no lo sabía, hoy entiendo que también de pena, mucha pena, por mí, por él, por mi madre y por todo lo que pasaría después. Hasta aquí.
I love this piece. You have to read the whole piece to get the full effect of that moment. And then at the end, how it turns out. I'm not gonna say much. I want everyone to read it. But your description of your mother too, how she was this just gorgeous woman and your experience with her as opposed to with him. Yeah, that was strong.
Thank you.
But era freca too, to say that too.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? Una galleta ahí mismo. No, but right. Okay. We're gonna wait till everyone could comment on everyone's pieces at the end, but we're gonna move on to Carisa.
Hola, mi cuento se llama La memoria de papá y porque es cortitito lo voy a leer entero, así me dijo Jean-Berly. La última vez que hablé con papá tenía 5 años. Ese día hubo en mi pueblo un apagón. Las estrellas competían con el azul marino de la noche. Me encantaba verlas titilar. Deseaba siempre que se fuera la luz todos los días. Así, libres de abanico y televisión, nos sentamos en el frente de la casa a tomar fresco, a hacer cuentos y a mirar el cielo. Esa noche probablemente había luna llena, porque recuerdo lo que ocurrió con claridad. I'm sorry if I cry. ¿Ok? En el momento en que papá decidió irse, se despidió de mi abuela y de mi hermano menor y de mí. Le pregunté si podía ir con él, con la esperanza que me dijese que sí. Me dijo que no, y al escucharlo lloré. Entre llanto, lamentos e hipidos le rogué. Hasta le dije que me iba a portar bien, pero nada. Él se negaba y yo seguía insistiendo. Tal vez mi alma sabía lo que iba a pasar y no lo quería dejar partir. Para calmarme, me dijo que retornaría rápido, mucho antes de que yo pudiera contar hasta 100. Vuelvo pronto, me dijo, y lo abracé. Con él enfrente, empecé a contar. 1, 2, 3. Seguí su silueta hasta verla desaparecer. 33, perdón, 31, 32. Luego seguí contando, mirando las estrellas. 33. Probablemente me quedé muy dormida porque esa noche no recuerdo más de ahí. Días después, parada en la sala vacía, vi cómo lo entraban en casa. 4 hombres vestidos de negro cargaban el peso muerto de su cuerpo, su cadáver en una caja lustrada de madera marrón. Avanzaron y retrocedí hasta que escuché los gritos apoderarse de la casa. En el medio del tumulto oscuro estaba mi mamá. Voceaba como si quisiese expulsar el dolor que llevaba por dentro, parir, quedarse vacía y encontrar la paz. Había muchas mujeres a su alrededor. La sostenían porque parecía querer desplomarse. Ay, tan joven, en la flor de su juventud, con una carrera por delante, 33 añitos, tan buen esposo, tan buen hijo, tan buen padre. Escuché decir mientras el llanto de mi mamá sonaba como música de fondo. Me quise dormir. O tal vez despertar de aquello que aún parece un sueño. Retrocedí un poco más, pero una mano desconocida me empujó por la espalda hasta llevarme al frente de mamá. Ella tenía los ojos cerrados, los párpados rojos hinchados de tanto llorar. ¿Cuánto tiempo toman las lágrimas para curar las heridas? ¿Cuántos hay que derramar para que acabe el dolor? Su ausencia aún duele. Esa es la hija del difunto, dijo alguien, y mamá medio abrió los ojos. Señaló la caja y dijo, mi niña, tu papá. Me acerqué un poco más, toqué la caja y estaba fría. Miré lo que había dentro, su cuerpo, un bagazo vacío sin alma, sin luz. Esos restos en estado de descomposición, conservados por el hielo, no podían ser mi padre. No equivalía al hombre que me abrazaba, al que jugaba a las escondidas, al que le encantaba el helado de ron con pasa, al que me llamaba princesa, al que me enseñó que las galletitas guarinas enchumbadas de refresco rojo saben mejor, al que me curó los dientes la vez que me resbalé porque quería mostrarle que yo podía salir sola del baño, que era independiente, al que me enseñó a montar bicicletas e inspiró a jugar ajedrez. Ese cuerpo no podía ser él porque todavía yo lo esperaba y él nunca había roto una promesa. No sé si la niña que estaba ahí pensó todo eso, pero hoy lo pienso yo. Es la única explicación que tengo de por qué al verlo allí no lloré. Sin decir una sola palabra no le quité los ojos de encima. Lo observé por un largo tiempo hasta que mi hermanito menor me interrumpió. ¿Por qué duerme, papá? Papá, despierta, vamos a jugar, gritó. Y todos empezaron a llorar aún más alto. En medio de un nuevo caos me fui. No lloré, pero desde ese día empecé a buscar su esencia en todas partes, especialmente en mis sueños, en los árboles, en la brisa, en el esplendor del agua, en todo lo que me hace sentir bien o sonreír. Papá murió, pero los astros susurran su nombre y su presencia aún vive en mí.
Muy fuerte eso. Gracias por compartir, Carisa. Un abrazo para ti.
Gracias. Te voy a decir que para mí hacerlo era como un proceso de sanación. Incluso mis familiares que están aquí nunca me han escuchado hablar de mi papá. Y hasta estoy en la habitación porque yo no quiero que mi mamá lo escuche. Pero gracias por hacer la convocatoria porque en una parte me ha ayudado a reflejar y a tratar de sanar eso. Gracias.
I think we all need a minute right now. We'll just all take a minute with you. Yeah, I felt like that piece needed to be read entirely. But also I should have started tonight with a trigger warning because many of these essays are about the death of a father, of a loved one. So we should probably pace ourselves. But no, I felt like we were all there with her, seeing the casket, experiencing her there. So yeah, very strong piece. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm sorry. Cenia.
Okay. So my story is called, oh, I'm so sorry. I live in DR. There's bachata. Okay, ya pasaron. All right. It's called Fritura, Science, and Balaguer. Si tú quisieras una estrella del cielo, tu papá encontraría una manera de buscártela. Mami. Papi would often get these cravings for fritura from one of those chimney trucks in Manhattan. Ya tú sabes. The fried orejitas, morcilla. You need a number to beat all of the screaming drunk people to the line. Like most immigrant parents, my father worked incessantly, making it challenging to spend time with him alone. Still, during those 40-minute drives from the suburbs to procure masita frita y totone, Papi and I would talk about everything and anything. Aprendí mucho from this incredible man. Papi taught me that the human body is the most sacred and perfect machine. Everything man creates already exists perfectly in nature, Cenia, Papi explained. God's flawless designs function perfectly to maintain homeostasis. Disease manifests as a result of unresolved energy and imbalances that the mind and body are trying to resolve to keep you alive. Papi ensured I was educated never to be fooled by Western doctors. All natural medicines always have their complement. He taught me that nature possesses chemical compounds that coexist in perfect harmony. Since I was 7, I already knew that turmeric is activated by pepper, that vitamin D needs fat to be absorbed, that limoncillo is planted next to oregano poleo because its side effects are canceled out while its therapeutic uses are enhanced. Papi era un walking encyclopedia. His eyes grew large as he revealed how nothing in this universe is even real. Todo es energía, vibraciones, y puede cambiar en cualquier momento. Papi was ahead of his time and most definitely not your stereotypical Dominican man. That's it.
Can I just say that I need some time with your dad, because I learned a lot from that essay alone. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, you count what next to what? Like, and the Balaguer part comes later, but I like that title. The title alone, I was like, okay, what we got going on here?
I was a very bizarre child. That's not something a 7-year-old needs to be knowing in school.
But you
know,
know,
nothing's real, teacher. No, I was like, I knew too much information. Yeah.
I feel like we need a round 2 of that essay. I feel like you need to like share that information with us.
Of course.
No, but also what I liked on your essay, you asked your dad why he would even come here. That's something I asked my dad or like my husband. I'm like, why would you come to this country when you come from DR, like paradise? And the fact that he gave you that explanation and it like kind of made sense, but he never lost where he came from. So that was interesting to read also.
Yeah. Thank you.
Emmanuel, you're next.
Hello, everyone. Mi cuento se llama Mi Padre, Su Bendición y Enseñanzas. Buenos días, buenas tardes y buenas noches. ¿Cómo están los Peralta? Esas son las primeras palabras que oigo cuando papi me llama. Y yo le respondo, Cion Papi, por la gracia de Dios, todo bien. Papi me da su bendición y después me pregunta sobre mi esposa y la perrita de casa. Cion Papi, Cion Mami, Cion Abuela. You can receive or give an enormous blessing by saying those 2 words, holding power over you when you voice them. Papi would remind us to besar la mano when we slip and forget to say it. We say it like we've heard it all our lives, Cion Papi, cutting that original word in half, but that's how it's done in our culture. I don't know many people who say it fully, bendición. Papi isn't your typical de lo mío, de lo tuyo Dominican. He's a quiet, humble man. When surrounded by family, he lights up the room around him. Un hombre simple que ama a su familia. One of those people who would take the shirt off his back to give it to someone else in need. Thank you.
I heard that you did your dad justice. Like, and your essay may have been should have been the first one. That way it explains why we do the whole Cion Papi thing, right? I'm gonna think about that for next time. That was like a perfect introduction. So this is what we do in our culture. This is why we besar la mano.
Indeed. Thank you.
Okay. Jennifer's nice. Okay. Geraldine.
Hi. All right, so I will read just the last part of my cuento. Mi cuento se llama Papi se volvió estrella. And this is the last part of it. Daddy confessed all the while mom had difficulty showing love. He asked me to be patient, to understand her, and to never underestimate her. Daddy will sit for hours haciendo cuento, teaching us how to resolver problemas, aconsejándonos, mirándonos, peleándonos y abrazándonos. Daddy will become my toy when I needed to play it and my brother and sister were too old to relate. Daddy and I had this very strong connection, this unbroken bond. Yo era his niña and he was my perla. Daddy would let me climb on his neck at night and take a walk in el barrio para contar las estrellas. Daddy was music. He was salsa, Grupo Nietzsche, bachata, Luis Vargas. He was son cubano, perico ripiao y hasta el perreo le daba. He would sing all day and whistle like a ruiseñor. We never heard my dad shouting our name. That distinct whistle took possession of his voice. Daddy was beginning and end. Those soft hands in a coffin revivieron lo duro. Duro ese espacio sensible cuando todo lo que fue papi se volvió estrella. Thank you.
You guys are getting to me tonight. No, your essay, I'm telling you, you have to read the full essays, guys. Her dad played so many roles, and each line was like, Daddy was the old OG. Daddy was sweet and sour. I was just like, oh. That was like showing all the roles that a dad can fill. So thank you for that. The repetition, by the way, it was very poetic. La Puchi.
Hi guys. I have to take a sip of water. I apologize because the crying, I'm trying so now my throat is so I'm sorry, but I have to, if not I'm gonna cough. Okay. My essay is called Dios, dímele a papi. Tu familia, la familia Espinal Taveras, es una familia honrada y trabajadora. Tu mamá, Ana Rita, y tu papá, Pancho, eran parte de su pueblo. Mi abuela, Ana Rita, era curandera. Usaba plantas naturales para sanar a los enfermos. Nunca cobró dinero por sanar y salvarle la vida a muchos. Lo hacía por amor a Jesús, por Dios. Papi, recuerdo tus historias de cuando eras niño. Nos contabas que era una familia pobre. De niño tenías que trabajar descanso, vendiendo frutas, chicles, caña, limoncillos y cigarrillos, y a veces hasta limpiabas zapatos. No pudiste ir a la escuela por tener que ayudar a mantener a tu familia de 12 hermanos y hermanas. Trabajaste hasta manejando una patana por toda la República. Papi, tengo muchas cosas que agradecerte. Gracias por ser el mejor chef de comida dominicana. Eres el mejor cocinero del mundo. Tu comida todavía es famosa en República Dominicana, en el Bronx. Gracias por casarte con mami, aunque estabas nervioso por ser pobre. Mami nos contó cuando se conocieron en la avenida Lope de Vega, en Santo Domingo. Ella en una bicicleta y tú en un motor. Tu papi siempre andaba vestido como todo un caballero. Tu papi era un negro fino. Mami siempre decía, papi, gracias por la casa que hiciste para ustedes cuando se casaron. Construiste una casa, una casita humilde con tus propias manos para ti y nuestra mami. Llovía, que el agua caía dentro de la casa, pero fue nuestro hogar. Construiste hasta una letrina y todo, atrás en el patio. No eras rico en dinero, pero sí rico en ser un hombre trabajador y de gran corazón. Eras rico de nobleza y de bondad, y eso también te lo agradezco. Gracias por trabajar tan honrada y duramente para poder llegar a los Estados Unidos. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Let me tell you something about this girl's essay. She sent it and it was like a block. It was a block. It was a solid little block of words. And it read like a prayer. It read like a letter to your father or to God. I don't know. But I was like, well, this is
It was a
different.
little bit of both. It was a little bit of
Right?
both. Yeah.
Okay, I got that. I was like,
Yeah. I did it when my father passed away. It was really fast. So it was a lot going on and I was by myself with my kids. So I never thought he was gonna die. I thought he was gonna get better and go home. But this time he didn't come home. So they were things that I never got to see. I didn't have a chance to like talk to him and tell him all those things. So it was like a prayer and a letter to him. Yeah.
it's like a release, a grieving process. I don't know.
Yes.
It read beautifully. I loved it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa?
Hello, everyone. So happy to be here tonight. So happy to have read all these stories, which like touched me. They went ding in my heart. So thank you guys for writing it. The title of my piece is Dumpling Azul, Boiled Dough as a Love Language. After the divorce, my father would visit us sporadically. When I'd invite him, there was usually an excuse, or worse yet, no response. Sometimes he kept his word, but most times he'd just leave my brother and me hanging. The older we got, the more he started showing up. However, it was senseless trying to make up for the lost time. By then, it was far too late to show his daughter the devotion necessary to keep her from searching for love in all the wrong places. For years, he remained inconsistent, coming by at random times, but never the moments that mattered most. I stopped believing him when he'd say, alítense que lo voy a pasar a recoger. After many disheartening deceptions, I learned to smile, nod, and agree politely. I stopped being hopeful because it would only set me up for further heartbreak. At one point, when others asked about him, I went as far as saying I didn't have a father. He'd been missing out on most of my life, so I became accustomed to his non-existence. Although stern and severe, he was also funny and charming, a dash of temperamental, one of the many reasons my mother walked away. He carries with him rage that could easily intimidate. As a result of said anger and fearing the inevitable mood swing, I avoided disappointing him. I admittedly held a grudge, but whenever he showed up, I forget his shortcomings and succumb to playing the role of his happy little girl. My father was under the impression that making up for lost times with currency was the best way to show his love. But that was never enough for my brother and me. All we ever wanted was his presence. When he started preparing my favorite dish, dumplings with salami guisado, I took it as a sign of his love for me. The little girl he abandoned felt seen and perhaps even spoiled. Thank you.
Thank you. Made us all hungry real quick. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, I've never actually had dumplings. But you made me very curious because hear about
Not
all
many
these
people know what they are, though. Not many people know what they are.
They're about to find out after reading this. Wait a minute, I gotta go look that up because I got hungry. I don't even know what it is, but I'm like, but yeah, love language. You think about like, oh, like hug or affection. No, you're talking about food. Like, where's my food? And then you start talking about how your son you had an antojo and your son, his birthmark is a dumpling. I'm like, oh, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show that you don't really need much from your father. Like that one thing, as non-existent as he was, that one thing connected you to him, and it was enough for you. So that was nice. Miguel, is Miguel here? No. Okay. Pamela, you're the last one reading tonight.
It's me.
Hey.
The name of my piece, el nombre de mi pieza es El proceso de dejar ir lo que crees querer. I'm going to be reading a few excerpts from the writing because I think it kind of resonates the part of the story, which is a process. To my papis, thank you for teaching me what love from a Dominican man is supposed to look like. Not perfect, but present. Cion Papi, how naive of me to bestow such an honor to a man I barely knew. Cion Papi, I want his blessing. Dios te bendiga, mi hija. Pero díganme, ¿cómo un hombre que duró 6 años para conocer a su bendición, yo, puede bendecirme? Yet there I was, yearning for the love of this unknown man, responsible for my genes, and so at merely 6 years old, I ran to his arms, wishing and hoping, after tirelessly asking Mommy about him, that this would be the moment Papi would stay. He lifted me and carried me up. There I was on top of the world with my Papi. Ay, mi niña, qué inocente y qué necesidad de querer a tu Papi. ¿Quién te culpa? Yo, no. Lo llevaste de la mano a conocer a los vecinos. Mira, mira, este es mi Papi. He wasn't your Papi. He was the man that contributed to your existence. Still, I was expecting the grandest act of love a girl could possibly want from the man she called father, for him to stay. I wish that 6-year-old girl knew better. Let me gather myself. Sorry. Y es que mi niña, todavía a los 15 años esperabas que mágicamente cambiara ese corazón tuyo, siempre tan genuino y ciego a la realidad. Me acuerdo el día que se murió mi papito. Ese día sentí que mi corazón me lo sacaron de por dentro, lo tiraron al océano y hasta este día no logro rescatarlo. Y es que con mi papito se fue el amor más genuino que he conocido. At 27, I am painfully accepting that my papi I thought I needed was irrelevant. But how lucky was I to love and be loved by the papis I've always had. Cion Papi, Dios te bendiga, mi hija. Bendiciones de mi tío y mi papito, que sí son mis padres. My papi no solo era uno, but rather 2 men, dos hombres dominicanos who chose to love me. One who stepped up to protect his little sister's daughter, and the other, a father who protected his daughter's daughter with love and prayer. Cion Papi sounds more like Cion Papá and Cion Tío. Los hombres que sí me bendijeron día tras día con su presencia, su amor y su protección. A los 27 años, mi niña, aprende a entender que a veces no vemos lo que tenemos por seguir buscando lo que creemos querer. Mira a tu alrededor, mi niña. Qué bendecida eres. No tienes un papi, tienes 2.
Wow. Just wow. You see, it's not the sperm donor like you wrote. It's the person that takes on the role. It's the person that that takes the time to love you. So that was a very strong piece as well. You had two puppies. But I love that this piece was a letter to yourself. I love the inner voice.
Yes, like a few people said that, like Carisa, she said how this thing was kind of like healing, you know. That's what writing is for me. It's like the healing process. I often write letters to myself all the time because I've learned that if I write it out, I can read it back to myself, and it's like double time telling myself, you know, so it helps with the healing. So
It's beautiful, you guys. Just this whole collection is just so beautiful. And thank you. I know it's like tearing apart your insides reading these pieces, right? But it is healing, and we appreciate that you put yourselves out there, you put your stories out there, as difficult as it may be. But also it's also beautiful to see what other people are putting out there. Some of you have like the amazing fathers that were there, and others are like processing, going through their experiences, you know, the fathers that weren't present, and some of you are mourning the ones that you lost. So I want to just open up this time to discuss, you know, share how you feel about everyone else's pieces that you read or, you know, that you heard tonight. Anybody? You have the floor.
I would like to make a comment. It's just something general to everybody. I want to say thank you to everybody. So muchas gracias a todos, because these are things that are highly personal and very intimate to share. Especially with you know, the stories about death that were shared, and how incredibly brave it is to be able to tell that to a larger audience, because as I said in like my bio, everything has been felt before. Y me dio duro, you know, with a lot of the stories, but I think I needed that, and I'm grateful for that, and I'm also grateful for what this can do for the larger audience in terms of helping people to also get that, you know, sacar ese sentimiento de por dentro también.
I guess I can say something too. First of all, say thank you to you guys for writing this. Cuesta mucho poder escribir lo que tanto peso le da tu corazón, right? So just big shout out to you guys for being able to do that. Like, it takes so much resiliency to be able to say it, but then to be able to publish it and read it to people. Like, I'm shaking because I know so many people are here looking at this, and it's just like, oh, really? But that's how you felt? Like, this is what you experienced, you know? And I think it's just important to always remember that telling our story is like the most powerful tool we all have. Decir, I'm going to talk also in a little Spanish because I know there's some people here that only speak Spanish, but es muy importante darle ese poder a tus palabras y a tus sentimientos, porque todos llevamos una historia. Y como dije en mi pieza, a veces no es ser perfecto, es estar presente. And I think muchas de las historias aquí dieron ese mensaje también, you know, like Lisa's, hablando de los dumplings, like her dad wasn't perfect, right? But that love act was so important to her, you know? And like La Puchi, your letter to your dad, I really resonate with that because like I'm a letter writer. Like, I write to myself, you know, I write to these people that don't exist, but I think it's really powerful that we use our tool to display our emotions and what we go through. So shout out to all you guys.
Es una herramienta y también es medicina. I was going to say that. We are a very Dominicans, tú sabes que el dominicano no domina el mundo porque no quiere, right? Somos una cultura extremadamente creativa y eso es medicina. La creatividad es medicina para el alma.
Yo quiero preguntar, Bueno, primeramente, darle gracias a Dios. Y le voy a confesar that I have not read this. I haven't had the time. Life has been lifing for me. So, and I haven't had the time to read this. But listening to you all, I can only imagine. Yo intenté escribir mi propia pieza, mi propio ensayo para Cion Papi, porque yo tengo mi propio, ¿cómo te digo? Trauma con mi papá. Y lo iba a escribir, empecé a escribirlo, and then I was like, no, I wasn't ready to put that out. Not that I'm not ready to put it out to the world, but you know, I figured that those of you como Carisa y los que escribieron de la muerte y quizá un episodio traumático con su padre, que al escribirlo, quizá ustedes pasaron por las mismas emociones, ¿verdad? Porque uno no solamente escribe, pero también es una herramienta terapéutica, ¿verdad? De uno soltar todo lo que uno lleva adentro, right? Y yo no estaba en eso. Yo voy a confesar que yo no estaba en eso. Jamberly me dijo a mí, oh, you got time. Que I was like, no, I'm good. So, le quiero dar a ustedes las gracias por ser valientes, por mostrar su ¿cómo se dice? Vulnerability. No me acuerdo cómo se dice eso en español.
Vulnerabilidad.
Vulnerabilidad.
Lo que dijo Pam, eso mismo. El trabalengua que dijo Pam. Porque yo sé que no es fácil y yo como escritora sé lo difícil que es. Yo le quiero dar la gracia a todos ustedes de haber enfrentado este reto y haber visto esta convocatoria como una oportunidad de compartir eso que quizás ustedes no han compartido con nadie, ¿verdad? Sé que muchos de ustedes quizás nunca han publicado algo. Suban la mano. ¿Cuántos de ustedes? Wow, so mitad de ustedes aquí nunca han publicado algo, so esto es algo muy grande, ¿verdad? Y especialmente leyéndolo en voz alta en un live stream de YouTube, donde su familia y sus amistades lo están viendo, pero le puedo decir que todo el mundo lo está apoyando, lo está aplaudiendo en el chat, ¿ok? Eso es algo que le agradezco de usted de haberse dado la oportunidad de acudir a este llamado, a esta convocatoria y compartir su historia. Sé que quizá ustedes no lo piensan ahora, pero muchas personas que quizás están pasando por la misma situación que ustedes van a oír su historia y van a encontrar una lección o un reflejo o algo positivo en ello. Porque sé que muchas veces escribimos sin pensar cómo eso le va a afectar al lector. Y créanme que el que lo esté leyendo, lo está leyendo con un corazón abierto y se está llevando lo que ustedes compartieron. Tenía una pregunta y se me olvidó. Pero ustedes están muy callados. Yo quiero saber cómo se sintieron ustedes, cómo fue el proceso de escritura para ustedes, especialmente los principiantes, ustedes los que nunca habían publicado. ¿Qué fue de esta convocatoria que ustedes se lanzaron y dijeron, yo nunca he escrito nada, yo nunca he publicado nada, pero yo voy a mandar algo? ¿Qué fue lo que el bombillito que se les prendió en la mente a ustedes? Que ustedes dijeron, déjame probar esto. Porque no fui yo bullying. Yo sé que a Cenia, I bully Cenia sometimes, right? But nobody else here I bully. Lisa already ya está alta de mí, ya escribe. Pero, y Carisa también ha publicado.
Well, Before anyone answers, I just wanted to say I was reading I haven't had time to read. I love reading, but I just haven't had the time, like Angie, I have like a million projects going on too. But I would read this while my children were at the basketball games. So I was sitting on the stands, reading my little Dominican book. And I was just I'm talking. I was sitting there just like, I was feeling so seen. I was feeling like, oh my God, I'm not the only one. Also, I was nearly crying, just reading about the losses of some of the fathers and, thinking of that and the reason for me wanting to write the story and wanting to like fix the relationship with my dad is so that it wouldn't be too late for me to like, build a relationship or build something that feels remotely, special and unique and feels like, like I made the most of the time that I still have left with him. So like everyone else was saying, thank you so much for writing it. Thank you so much for putting things out there. And I just felt like I want to read so many more of our stories. I felt like these are the stories that I really want to be reading. These are the stories that I really want to invest my time to read. So these little cuenticos are like so juicy, and I love the fact that they fit in my pocket, so I can just be like, bam, walk around with your book, don't be bored anywhere, read a story a day or whatnot. So yeah, this was great. Yes, now I want to go get the rest of the series.
OMG, I love it. I'm just gonna speak now. I'm sorry because I don't want my dog to start barking again. I just want to piggyback on what she said. First of all, thank you, all of you. Yami, I love you. I love you all. You guys are my family now. So se jodieron conmigo. Ya no me pueden devolver. This was a blessing. It's something that I manifested. I didn't know it's something that I needed or wanted. It just happened. When my mom and dad died, I felt like I lost my connection to DR. I'm the part of a first generation American here in the United States. So they were like my bridge to DR. So my dad being gone is like, I felt like I didn't have my Dominican family, like I didn't have community. And I was searching for that everywhere. So when I saw this opportunity to write, I was like, oh my gosh, but it was really more like healing my grief. So I had a choice to continue being sad, even though I'm always going to be sad or whatever, depressed, or do something positive. I didn't want my dad to be forgotten. It was this urgency. Like, I don't want que se olviden de mi papá, que se olviden de mi mamá, porque ellos existieron y fueron buena gente. Y eso es lo que yo quería, y por eso lo escribí. Y como no me dio tiempo decirles, especialmente a mi papá, todo lo bueno que él hizo por mí, eso fue lo que me impulsó para que él sintiera desde aquí a allá que yo lo amo, lo quiero. Y lo que más me encanta es que yo siempre digo, yo no tengo amistades dominicanas, a mí la gente dominicana no me habla, no me quieren, ¿qué pasa con mi gente dominicana? And now it's like, oh my God, I have a beautiful family. Like, I'm not alone. I have all of you. So thank you so much for this opportunity and to hear so many things. El limoncillo, que si el salami, I got hungry. Me dio una hambre y ustedes hablan hambre, pero son iguales. Alguien dijo, yo soy de Mao. Mi papá también. Oh my God. So it's like la música también. So thank you. I love you all. I love my Dominican people. I am proud to be Afro-Latina. Hello. Hasta la tambora. So thank you. I love you all. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. Thank you. ¿Quién más va a compartir? I'm going to start calling names and nobody talks.
Ingrid, go first because you had it before and then I'll talk.
Okay, thank you. Okay, first, yeah, I'm really proud of all of you. I haven't read the whole book because I don't have it yet. But yeah, I will do that just as soon as I'm back in London. And yeah, I'm very, very happy with just being here and sharing all those stories, because it's like I have my own stories, but you all have yours, and some of them are very related, with each other, and so like it's very powerful. And as Carisa was saying, is also very healing. It's part of this. Like in my case, I started writing because I thought, I just read the email and I was like, I'm gonna write it maybe later, and like maybe later, and a week, and maybe later. And I was like, I don't know, one day I just was going back home, and I was like, I'm gonna write it now. And I was like, and I wrote it because I thought, my family isn't gonna see it, no one's gonna see it, maybe they're not even gonna post it, so I'm just gonna write it. And after I read that, okay, now we're gonna make a book, like, oh my God, what the hell did I do? And I was so, yeah, I wouldn't wrote it if I knew that it's gonna become a book, to be honest, because I'm very afraid of, and I was, and I'm still a little bit afraid of just feeling all that is related with my father, feeling all of those things. Like right now, my family is not watching this, and I'm in DR, and my family knows that I'm doing it, but I didn't say like, oh, I'm doing, go and watch the video. No, because it's still not ready, even though there are many people here hearing all these stories. But yeah, I'm gonna give the book back when I'm ready to my family and everything to share. But I'm very glad that I'm sharing this moment with all of you and feeling, that I'm part of something that is not only my situation, but also that is another way to feel and to heal. And yeah, very, very grateful for the opportunity, for having this chance to write and talk about it. And just that.
So for me, it was actually funny. Well, it's not funny, but I was going through this healing process in therapy. And it actually happened that my therapist, I tell him like, oh, I just write all these letters and it helps through my healing. And I was just writing letters to my dad, my sperm donor. And I was like, bueno, yo no creo en la coincidencia, pero yo tengo all this writing. And then the submission came up and I was like, I feel like the universe is like screaming at me. It was in my resolution for 2022 to finally get published. I have so much writing. Jamberlene has seen it. She's like, dime, like, what are you waiting for? And to me is both. I think a lot of my family is here. So this is like the first time that they see me in like this writing light, which is crazy to me because I'm like, this is a lot, I put a lot of emotions in my writing. I just like write my whole soul in there. So it's a lot to have them read that. Pero I say my biggest purpose with my writing is to help others heal, because once it's already written for me, that means my healing process has started. So that means I can start somebody else's. And with that, I bring it to my family at home too, because, nadie quiere hablar de lo que duele o de lo que pasa o de lo que no hizo alguien bien, porque, es mejor creer que todo el mundo es perfecto y no verse hacia adentro y decir, bueno, you weren't perfect, but you were here and you did this, And I think my biggest understanding or takeaway from my own essay was that, I went through life just wanting a father. I remember I always looked at people with their dad in the park because I grew up upstate and like everyone had this perfect family with like mommy and papi and the 2 white kids, and they, it was perfect. And I remember one therapist once told me, people take pictures, but you don't know what happens behind them, right? So like you see this perfect picture in a cuadro, but you don't know how they got there, how the 2 kids, if they was crying before, if they were screaming, if the dad was cursing out, so, but to me it was like, oh, but that's all I wanted. So I think that's why I had to take a step back and realize that, I was blessed in so many other ways. Like I had all my uncles, mi mamá, una de 10 y de esos 10, 7 son hombres, right? So it's like, they were all my dads, you know, like they all loved me. They all protected me. And I think it was just that. It was the process of accepting what I've always wanted and loving what I had and didn't see before.
Thank you, thank you. ¿Y tú, Emmanuel?
Ya sabía que me iba a tocar. So to answer your question, para responderle a la pregunta que Angie made like a few minutes ago about why, if we're a first-time writer getting something published, why did we do it? What made us take that step? For me personally, like those that know me, my family, my friends, they know that I haven't been back to the DR since I was a little kid. I'm 32 now, and I haven't been back since I was 8 years old. So for me, coming across the Dominican Writers page, that for me was like, okay, cool. I like this page. It's about books. It's about authors. It's teaching me more about my own culture that honestly I don't know too much about because I just haven't gone. And lo que me conocen, they would tell you, no, Manny no es dominicano. Él es gringo. And I'll tell you why. Manny no come mango. A Manny no le gustan las habichuelas. So many things, so many Dominican foods that I'm just not into because, I mean, I don't know why. It's just that's what it is. But in my story, there's a part where the words got twisted a little bit, but it makes more sense to the reader that's reading it. There's a part that says, Papi me llama los viernes por la noche y me pregunta si estoy busy on the weekends because he wants to come over. He wants me to come over to his place. So it's really, I go to their place. Yo voy a la casa de Papi, but it sounds good when you read, he comes over to my place and cooks me breakfast. But anyways, so some of the food I like, some of the food I don't. But going back to the page and going back to why I decided to write something, I used to love English, history. I used to love writing papers back in my elementary and high school and college days. And I got away from it a little bit, or for a lot of years. So coming across the page and coming across the little question that would eventually become this little chapbook about our fathers and the stereotypical stuff that goes on growing up, I was like, you know what? Yo creo que voy a escribir algo. Y vamos a ver qué pasa. Y le dije a mi esposa, I was like, babe, what do you think? Should I do it? And she's like, go for it. You got this. So thanks, babe. She's over there watching me. Entonces, no, escribí algo. And like a few of my fellow writers said, we submitted it for publication and it was a long process and we waited to hear back. And those of us that got our essays submitted, for me, it was like, oh, holy cow, like this is actually happening. Something that I wrote is going to get published and we're going to be able to read it to, those that joined the YouTube live. I think it was 70 at one point. So that's pretty good. Y no, para mí es una felicidad grande. Le digo la verdad, I also have not finished reading the entire thing because if you read my story, you'll be like, oh, this guy had it good growing up. But then you read everybody else's and I'm like, I feel really bad. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. That's very sad that, people go, that my fellow writers went through the experiences that they went through, but I didn't have it that way. So in a way, I'm like, estoy agradecido that I still have my dad, but I feel for those that don't. And, I hope that, through the chapbook, through the friendship that we make, we can all, like somebody else said, somos familia y you guys can't get rid of me either. So thank you. Thank you.
And your wife, Emmanuel, también,
Yes,
who has
my
been an
wife.
exceptional cheerleader.
Yes,
She
thank you, baby.
was posting you all over the place and tagging us and making sure everybody knew her husband was published.
Yes,
He's
yes,
the real MVP.
yes, indeed. Thank you.
So thank her for us as well. We love to see our writers receiving the support that they get. Who didn't go? Ya todo el mundo, Carisa, tú no eres primeriza, ni Lisa tampoco.
Yo no fui, Angie.
Oh, Geraldine, yes.
Yo creo que when I saw the publication, que Cion Papi, for me was, yo vivía enamorada de mi papá. So para mí was like, well, I'm gonna write it maybe, but I knew that there were a lot of emotions, and there still are, because my dad is like mi amor eterno. So to write about my dad, it was from I still think, because my dad lived in DR and I lived here, that I'm still here, he's still there type of thing. And it was that coming into terms of like, okay, this is dad, and now dad is everywhere. It's not that I left or he's still somewhere else. He could be a star anywhere I go. So I think that I wrote the piece in one night, and it was just crying and writing and just getting letting everything out. And I did read most of the pieces, and I think I cried for a whole night just clicking the hearts, and I was like, so I just want to say thank you for everyone that shared the stories. I know it's very personal, especially when you're talking about someone that you loved or someone that you missed or wanted to love that wasn't there, or whatever it was. And I think it brings everyone together in a healing process, as everybody else says, but also is personal for us to get it out and really, and just like a calling and saying, okay, this is reality, and there's so much love that we have to give, and we can put it in words for someone else to see it and to feel that love also. So just thank you for everyone that was brave enough to come and do it, and also to read it.
Thank you, thank you. So everyone in the chat, I don't know if you guys are reading the chat, but Sydney Valerio, who is one of our Dominican writers, I would say staff, says grief, being fatherless isn't linear, but it's great to see fathers step up and fill their role and responsibility. Julissa dijo que Manuel está bendecido entre tantas mujeres. Alex said that he too tried to write something as well, but he just couldn't. Barbie said, absolutely, and thank you to all of you for your vulnerability and for sharing your stories. When you read it out loud, it is stronger. We love you, Pam. Pam, you got a lot of fans. Carisa has a lot of fans. Love to
My
see
family.
voices.
My family too. They're blowing up my group chat. Like, aquí estamos.
Titi Carisa. Wow, Carisa, you have everybody here. Alguien tiene un ahijado aquí. So let's see if folks have questions. People are just saying you did great. Lots of love for you all. You have any more comments, Jamberly? Any questions?
Can I add something? Oh.
Yes, yes,
No,
Carisa, go ahead.
I was thinking about like what was the hardest for me when I was writing the piece, and besides the grieving process and like healing myself, it took me like 2 weeks, and I was crying every night because I would read it. And then I was reading it to Julissa too, to like, it was like, does this sound okay? Is this good? But also I write fiction. I never write anything about my life. So that also was very interesting, because I was like, if you, in my bio, it says, I always talk about like, I like to explore how memory plays a part. You make up things. So I was like, is this real? Am I making it up? When my mother hears it, is she gonna agree to what I'm saying? Did she also know that, did she notice that I didn't cry? Because I remember that somebody said a comment, me leaving la sala, someone say, ella no llora, pero ¿por qué no llora? So like that moment, and then I was like, am I being truthful to that moment, or am I rewriting it? Because I'm an adult now. So that was for me the most challenging part about writing it.
Thank you. Anyone else shares what Carisa is saying? What is everyone's most difficult part about writing your piece?
For me, it was letting the world know that I didn't like my sperm donor. like, you know, and it was for people to hear that, because I don't think I was ever honest to anyone about it. So it was just like, yeah, he's this man, but like, that's all he is. He's not my father.
Did you feel shame around that, or was it just?
I'm like a protector of people, right? And I think there was a letter here that I read from someone, and they said something about Dominican men are allowed to make mistakes and never have to say sorry for it, right? Something like that. And it was in the story, and I was like, you know what? I think that's what it was for me. It was like, for other people to read this and realize that they did a disservice to this little girl because nobody held my sperm donor accountable, right? So I think that was the part, because now it was going to be like, oh, wow, why didn't we do anything, right? Like, so that was the part. It was because nobody holds men accountable sometimes. And I think that's what this piece was for me, you know, like, you gave me life, but that was about it, you know, and I learned that through my therapy, and just putting it in here, it really like made it like a stamp. So that was the hardest part, just accepting that. But I do want to say, shout out to everyone, because my favorite part of this was seeing, Emmanuel, you said like, oh, like when I read everyone else's, I see how like unlucky or like how lucky I was. But I think that's the beauty of this, is that I read through some of these and I realized how some dads were there for their kids. And I love that, you know, because, you know, I have Dominican brothers, I have Dominican uncles, and I have seen how they stepped up and how they've been amazing Dominican fathers. So I think this is good for that, because it shows both sides, you know, and nothing is linear and nothing is like this. So I appreciated that beauty of these stories, that it shared the good, the bad, the different love languages, the food, you know, the memories. And there's my dog in the back. He wants everyone to know he's here.
Your dog is living in his truth too. Thank you, Pam. Julissa is asking si pudieron escribir su ensayo en un día, o si algunos de ustedes tuvieron que tomar una pausa por lo fuerte que fueron su historia.
En mi caso, yo diría, yo lo escribí en un día porque, o sea, lo escribí en un día y creo que solo pude haberlo escrito en un día. Es que si lo hubiese leído, si lo hubiese reescrito, bueno, lo leí, pero si lo hubiese reescrito, hubiese tenido que tomar varios días, conociéndome hubiese dicho, no quiero, because I don't want to face that, you know? And yeah, por eso lo hice, como me senté, lo hice y fue liberador en el momento, pero sé que no me hubiese atrevido a retomarlo y si lo hubiese hecho en partes.
Sí, yo creo que, como dijo Ingrid, yo también lo escribí en una noche, pero me costó. Era como el desahogo que aguantaba de años de no aceptar. Entonces era como volver cuando era niña y después llegar al día que sucedió lo que sucedió y decir, ok, he's not here anymore.
The same, igual me pasó a mí. Yo lo escribí en un día. Tengo una foto de mi papá. Mientras lo estaba escribiendo, estaba mirando la foto de mi papá. Y todo lo que quería decir, todo salió. Estaba llorando, estaba escribiendo, pero era hablando con él, hablando con Dios, diciéndole, Dios, dímele a papi, en español e inglés, por si acaso. Yo dije, bueno, ya tiene que saber inglés ahora, pero in case, por si la mosca, pues lo voy a decir en español, porque papi nada más sabía español. Y otra cosa que no sé si lo mencioné, pero es importante, ya ahora que dije, porque estoy mirando la foto de mi papá no pudo ir a la escuela. Él siempre me decía, a mí me encanta la escuela, los estudios. Si yo hubiera podido ir, había ido. Él no pudo porque tenía que trabajar para mantener a su familia, para comida. Y él siempre me decía, a mí me encantaba, yo veía a los niños con su mochila y sus zapatos y que iban a la escuela. Y yo me quedaba mirando lo que algún día yo quisiera ir a la escuela. Y por eso lo escribí, porque mi papá no tuvo la oportunidad de ir a la escuela, escribir bien y todo eso. yo me hice como que sí, eso fue lo hizo él. Yo sé que lo hice yo, pero lo hice de parte de él. Que, ok, él no terminó la escuela, pero yo sí. Yo fui hasta arriba, y yo subí el bar, porque como dije, soy parte de primera generación dominicana, nacida aquí en los Estados Unidos, y los estudios era algo sumamente importante para mi mamá y mi papá. Yo nada más sigue subiendo y subiendo hasta lo más alto, para que los otros que sigan después de mí tengan un ejemplo, pero el ejemplo lo hizo mi papá primero, yeah.
Gracias.
I wanted to mention something. There's all like a theme here. Well, my story, en verdad, yo lo quería compartir because I didn't want, I was a teacher for a long time, for 12 years, and I worked primarily with Dominican students. Y ya sabemos lo que se ve, lo que se manifiesta, you know, the trauma, the fatherless children, and a lot of that stuff was seen. But I felt like I needed to share my story because we need to understand that it's not a one-size-fits-all model with Dominican fathers. And also it's the danger of a single story. And it's you know, the danger of looking at one thing or two things or even 10 people and saying, así que son la cosa. Because there's always exceptions to every rule, and there's always, and this is a huge country too, and a huge diaspora. I think más de 200,000 Dominicanos every year go to New York, just New York alone. That's a lot of people. So it's a lot of things that are seen, but it's not everybody's story. And I was also thinking too about when we tell painful stories and in an effort to heal them, I used to do that as well, right? You know, in order to kind of get it out and then say, okay, ya terminé, no quiero sentir eso de nuevo. But I've come to find that that's not true for me, at least. I have to keep refeeling. And for me, it's more, and I'm just sharing in case this helps. A lot of the stuff I read about, you know, eso de espojos and stuff, it was from a certain lens. I look at it now as holding space for those parts of me. So there's a part of me when I was, you know, 10, 11, 12, where I wanted to go with Papi to, you know, la ciudad para comer fritura and holding space for those parts, right? But then there's multiple parts of us, inner children, multiple of them, where you can go back and say, wow, cuando yo tenía 5 años, like this was really painful. And I've never held space for that. Porque muchacha, ¿por qué tú estás llorando? You know, there was never space to hold for just an uncomfortable or just a really terrible feeling. Porque lo que in every culture is, oh, you'll be okay, or smile or cheer up. And it's like, no, some things are really, really bad. And we need to acknowledge that they're horrible and that they should have never happened. And this is wrong. And it's good to feel that anger and to feel that pain. When we're told it's not good to feel it, every emotion has a purpose if we allow ourselves to feel it, you know, as a human species, to allow these feelings to arise, because there's so much. And I think that after that, that's when cuando surge dentro de mí, oh, this is coming up. I'm like, oh, I know you. And it's not as daunting, you know, because I'm going to have to keep knowing that little girl throughout my whole life. I can't just say, oh, lo hice, yeah, you know, or like, oh God, you again, no. You know, I think it's healthy for us to, as a culture, especially to you know, sometimes when those pieces show up, and the good pieces too, there's also the good pieces that we have as well.
Thank you, Cenia. And to, you know, we had someone in the chat saying, me alegro que pudieron desahogarse de esa manera tan linda, by putting your pain and your joys on the page. Jamberly, do you have anything to comment, ask?
I wanted to jump on what Cenia said about how it's not just one lens, and I wanted to get to that. I wanted everyone that was getting this book to, I've been saying it since day one, it's not about the stereotype about Dominican man, ay, un bodeguero, ay, que pega cuerno, you know, it's not just that. And I wanted these other stories to come out like, oh shit, some of them are there. Oh, wait a minute, some guys are responsible. You know, I wanted I wanted all the stories from one point to another. So that way, you know, it's not just the stereotype. There's more to it. There's more to the story. And even those that are like the stereotype, they're still human. They're flawed, but somehow deep down, we still love them. You know, like it's that's the beauty of it all, like different lenses. So I like that you said that. So yeah, so I'm happy about that. And no, I just want to say that we are a family, and just because you published in this one chapbook, I still want you like to send more stories in, because I don't know, it's growing, and then we get to know your voice, and it does become like this little community, and we know each other, and we know each other's stories, and it resonates because it's our language, it's our experiences. You can say, like you said, about the food, or about just one word that hits you like, oh wait, like you're like me. So I didn't have that before either. And all the schooling and all the little workshops that I took, I didn't have what we have here. So Dominic, keep sending your work in, and I don't know, let's see where this goes. That was mine.
Before we go, my son will graciously show you guys his dumpling azul. Yeah, come here, let me see.
Oh, look at that.
And the older he gets, the bigger it gets.
If we ever do this like in a live version, I suppose you're gonna bring the dumplings, right? So we can all see what you're talking about, right? We gotta do a live in person one.
I want to know, of the first timers, are you all encouraged to continue writing, or this is it for you?
No, we're gonna keep writing. Next year, 2023, I'm gonna publish my first book.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm glad to hear that.
I'm gonna keep writing. Ustedes se van a cansar de mí, pero yo voy a seguir escribiendo en inglés y
I just
español.
want to say, Joanna, that we're not the only people out there publishing our stories. Okay, so do not rely only on Dominican writers to publish your story, because there are other places like Carisa and Lisa can tell you who are publishing our stories, you know. Lisa has this very special essay that she published about, I think it was your father, and oh my God, Lisa. During the pandemic,
unemployment benefits.
Yeah, the benefits and how difficult it was to navigate the system during the pandemic for elderly folks. I had a similar experience like that with my mom. But you know, Slate published Lisa's piece. Lisa has always also had poetry that has been published, and one of her first poems was picked up by Denzel Washington's wife and read in a live reading. Una mujer que tenía como 12 años que no escribía. And then now writing is her life, is her everything. So she's making a career out of it. So, you know, I do want to encourage you all to continue writing. You're all very talented. I think Jamberly can vouch for that, because Jamberly thoroughly enjoys editing.
I think she really does.
Good at it.
She's great.
Yes,
She's great.
does.
Jamberly, thank you so much.
Like
She
she
does,
I don't even
I
know.
hope-
You guys send me these pieces. I'm like, what are they even doubting? Like, are you kidding me? I stay here and I just like read essays all day. Like dinner, what? Like, I'm sorry, no, I'm busy.
No, you're really good at it.
She's reading essays.
I think we all need to give her a round of applause because she did amazing.
So needless to say, that applause means that everyone had a wonderful editing experience.
Yes.
Look at that, Jamberly.
So I don't know.
Everybody loves you editing their work.
It's just, it's great to just, because, you know, as a writer, you think you got all the great words or you got the perfect sentence, but then an editor comes and they're like, you know what, this could be a stronger word, or this could be, we can switch this to that. And I love that process, because it's just like, damn, I really, yeah, that's a much better word. I agree. So for some people, the editing process is daunting, but for me, I think the editing process is where the magic happens. So thank you for that, Jamberly.
No, she's really great. I feel like I give her I feel like I give her $1 and she gives me $3 back. Like, you know, like she just like makes it this much better thing. And she does it in such like a soft, embracing way, you know, like this is like, it's just like, hey, you have this in you, but I'm just reminding you, like, you know, and I really like when I sent my essay, I think it was like a few paragraphs and it was so like bland. And she's like, hello, like, give me more, you know, and I was like, damn, I really have to give like more. And then I did.
I think it is because everyone holds back. I don't know why. I don't know if that's how we were brought up, like not telling everything, you know. So I feel like everyone's just like holding back, like just sprinkling the information around. But what do you wait? What? I want to know more. Tell me more. Like I want you to like go in and dime todo lo chisme. That's what I feel like. Just tell me everything. So I'm gonna pull it out of you. So yeah, I don't know.
I'm not gonna put you on the spot, Jamberly, and ask you what were your favorite pieces. So
I don't know all of them.
I'm not gonna do that to you.
No, don't do that because that's like asking a mom to pick a favorite kid. No, don't do it.
I know. I feel the same way. Each of the chapbooks, I'm just like, wait, these are my children. Wait, but I love something about all of them. They're just like also special. Like the first child hits different because it's just like, oh my gosh, like it's perfect. It's my first child, right? The second one, like you're just so beautiful to look at. And then the third is like it starts hitting you like, oh shit, this is real. But yeah. So we're on to the fourth one. I hope you guys catch that one. So I think aren't a few of you in the fourth one? De eso no se habla.
Who's in the fourth?
You're in there, right?
I am.
Nice. Okay. And your
Yeah,
pieces
that
were
one's gonna be even chunkier than this one, than the Cion Papi. This is growing. I don't think they could be chapbooks anymore. I think they're just gonna be full-blown anthologies next year.
Yeah, well, that's what we said about Cion Papi. I mean, I don't remember how many pieces were in there, but it was 24.
Cion Papi, I think they're
22.
20. I snuck in mine at the end.
Is it 22 or 23? Something like that.
It's 21 now. It's 21.
Okay. Well, everyone, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight and doing this live reading of your essay in the Cion Papi chapbook. Please encourage your family and friends to purchase a copy. They could get them on Amazon. They're on Barnes and Noble. They're in Target. They're in the Dominican Studies Institute. So you could just write Cion Papi in Google and you'll see where all the places where your story is currently. And then my next step is to get it into our local libraries. And if you could also walk into your local library and tell them to order the book as well. Because they do order it, okay? I just hit up Upper Manhattan, but those of you like Lisa, who's in New Jersey and who works with her local library, you could definitely encourage them to also order the book, or you know, from us directly, or they could order it from any of the websites. And I want to encourage you to continue writing and not only submitting to Dominican writers just because you're Dominican and we love you, but because our stories matter and they should be everywhere. Okay, so I highly encourage you guys to do that, to continue following the platform because we do share other open calls for submissions and other great opportunities for writers that you may want to take advantage of. You know, residencies and fellowships. We also provide grants if you ever get into a residency, if you get into VONA, you know, you could also always hit us up and say, hey, I got into this residency. The Dominican writers have many scholarships and we will provide what we can, which is mostly around your registration fee or whatnot. Because for me, it's super important that our stories are out there and that people know who we are as Dominican writers. I tell people, look, Juno Diaz is not the only Dominican writer, and Julia Alvarez is not the only Dominican writer. You guys already know those people. Get to know Pamela, Lisa, Cenia, Carisa, Ingrid, Emmanuel, Geraldine, and you know, and all these other authors that we have published. And by the way, Carisa tiene un children's book. Ella todavía no se ha puesto la pila para sacarlo. No te vayas. Ah, fuiste a buscar el libro. Okay, okay. And I'm now on the task of bullying Carisa so that she could get her life together and start promoting this book para que la gente lo compre, because it's a great book and it's beautifully illustrated, and you know, we need to read more stories like this. So any last words, Amberly?
Catch us next week for the next live so you can hear the
Yes,
other
next
essays of your
Thursday,
peers.
December
Next
22nd. We
10
have
more,
the
10
second
more writers.
live reading, yes, and 10 more writers, I believe, will be joining us. So come through and support the rest of the writers. Read their stories. Let us know what you're thinking. Tag us on your thoughts. You know, just keep sharing it. You know, we've had a really great reception of Cion Papi.